I bet you're missing out on a huge opportunity in your business when it comes to social media. I think as artists, we spend a lot of time focused on Instagram, knowing it's a visual platform. But what if I told you there was another way you could get your art in front of your ideal clients? After one of our last experiments where we posted our work on Instagram for 30 days and did a lab report to figure out all the results, we decided it was time for a different type of experiment. This is definitely not the type of platform that most people think of when they think of creative connections or even job opportunities for creatives. So we figured this would be a really good one to test out and see what it's all about. So we posted our work on LinkedIn for 30 days and we learned a lot. I'm Ilana, I'm one half of Goodtype, and my other half, Katie, will be joining us later on in the video to talk about the lab report from our findings. We're both lettering artists, graphic designers, illustrators, and we posted our work on LinkedIn for 30 days, except weekends. And we're going to break down everything we learned and why we think you are probably sleeping on LinkedIn. LinkedIn definitely isn't what you think of when you think of a social media site or a way to grow your following or get your work in front of the right people, but it turns out we were all wrong. We had heard a couple friends talk about using LinkedIn for their business, so we figured we would give it a try and see if maybe they had like struck gold or if there was an opportunity or a missed opportunity for artists on the platform. So the first thing that was really important to us is setting boundaries. And so we posted for 30 days on LinkedIn, but not on weekends. And we knew that if we had to skip a day, it was going to be okay, but we really tried to plan in advance so that we wouldn't need to, and we wouldn't be creating new work for the platform. We're not creating new pieces of art every day or like reels or videos or carousels. We were just tapping into work that we've already made and then sharing a story about the work and keeping in mind that we wanted to reach art directors, creative directors, potential buyers or clients for our work, while also connecting with our community of designers. So the first thing we did before we started is we made a list of prompts. And to do that, we actually used ChatGPT to help us come up with a list of prompts that would give us some ideas of what we could post about on LinkedIn. So the two of us shared this list of prompts, and every day we would grab a prompt and schedule a post on LinkedIn. Now, one thing that's really cool about LinkedIn is you can actually schedule posts. So if you're really strategic and work smarter, or maybe you don't work every single day, you can actually schedule your post for the week or for the month, which we did a few times, but ideally in the future, I would like to do that more because I just find that jumping from task to task can be really challenging. Now, we didn't just use whatever ChatGPT spit out for us. We actually just asked for a list of prompts based on our work and what we wanted to gain from it, like wanting to work with art directors. And these prompts were really general. So what we would then do is really customize the post for ourselves and kind of go back and forth about what we wanted to talk about and really make sure that it was a good representation of ourselves. We also tried to keep our posts not too long. So most posts are going to like go below the fold and you're going to have to click to see more. But we tried to keep them short enough form that someone could read them really quickly. That's because we like that type of content, but I'm sure long form content would work. It just has to be really valuable. Another thing we found was that content that was really timely, like it related to something that was happening in the current space, whether it's AI or pop culture or something, what did really well because it felt so relevant and people wanted to weigh in on it. It's like a hot button. This is another way to get your portfolio in front of people, remind them of your skill set, and it really shows your personality too by showing off your artwork. We did use hashtags and we tried to be really strategic with those as well. Keep them relevant and broad enough to surface the post in like multiple different categories without it feeling really spammy. So we just used a couple on each one, but you can just do your research, see what's working, and see which posts are performing. We also tried to keep our tone like very true to us and authentic. And we didn't go for like corporate, even though the platform seems like more corporate, we tried to just be ourselves. And it seems like that is the thing that resonated most, is that people were like relating to that. And I think it opened up a lot of doors for connection and really shows who we are, which is important. We want partners who want to work with us and our skill set. We notice that when you comment and interact and engage with other people on the platform, your posts tend to do better. So comment when you see something you're interested in, reply to comments on your own posts, and start like real conversations with people. Like keep it real. People want to have these conversations and it can lead to really wonderful things. This can also really help with lead generation, because if you're starting conversations and people start to recognize you, it ends up building relationships and then keeps you top of mind when a client needs to hire someone. So show up repeatedly and in people's feeds, show your voice and your artwork, and give that reciprocity so that it feels authentic and shows that you care about working in a team or with other people and supporting other people. Katie also found that she was so much more likely to respond to a request to connect if someone added a personal note. And I think the same thing, like if there's a personal note and it's not spammy and like it makes me think I'm going to go into a funnel and then they're going to email me, like if it feels like a copy and paste from someone else, like I don't care. But if they said like, hey, I loved how you did XYZ, that's a really great way to actually build a real relationship. And I don't know, something about it just feels different than when you send like a DM to someone on Instagram.
Hi, I'm Katie, and I am here to give you the numbers. Let's look at the analytics first for our LinkedIn experiment. Both Ilana and I posted every weekday throughout May 2025, so here's what happened. Previously, I hadn't used LinkedIn for a very long time. I used it in the beginning of my career to get my internship, and then I got my first full-time job outside of college, actually through LinkedIn as well, which was really cool. But I haven't really used LinkedIn since then, so this was my first foray back into it. So my overall impressions for the whole month were about 230,000, which wow, I was not expecting that. And Ilana's impressions were 26,371, which was up 297% for her, which is awesome. While I had about 230,000 impressions, the actual members reach, so the individual accounts, were more like 130,000. So like 100,000 less than the impressions, which is very interesting. And Ilana's members reached was just under 8,000. Engagements, I had about 6,500 while Ilana had 850. And of those, I had 275 comments and Ilana had 84. And reposts, I had 22 where Ilana had 2. We'll talk about reposts a little bit more in a second because I found that was hugely important for my post that went semi-viral. Now let's talk about followers for a second. I personally didn't know that followers was even a thing until I did this LinkedIn experiment. So basically, you have a choice to either follow somebody's account or you can connect with their personal account. So sometimes the LinkedIn algorithm will already encourage you to follow them instead of connect with them. And our theory on that is that if you don't have any mutual connections with that person, or if that person has a really big following already, they might suggest that you follow them instead of connect with them. And following just means that their content is going to show up on your feed, but you're not actually a personal connection to them. Whereas connecting means that you'll be added to their network and you can individually DM them and communicate. So my total following is about 1,400, and over 1,000 of those actually came from just that month of experimentation. Ilana's total following, on the other hand, is about 2,300, and 170 of those came from our month of experimentation, which is about 7.2%. The amount of people who viewed my profile over those 30 days was a little bit over 1,000. The amount of people who viewed Ilana's profile was about 300. As far as direct ROI, or the things that immediately came out of our LinkedIn experiment, we got booked for a podcast, which was really cool. We got a couple of leads for projects, and actually most of them ended up falling through because the clients' budgets were too small. So that's something that we noticed kind of consistently through the type of clients that were reaching out to us on LinkedIn. However, that's not necessarily the experience that we've heard from our friends on LinkedIn. A lot of people have found some really awesome, high-paying jobs that way. My top performing post, I actually received a lot of personal messages and connections, and somebody even asked me to write an article based on that post for a really well-known publication. It did fall through, but still that seed was planted and that relationship was made, and it might come to fruition later on. I'll talk about this a little bit more in a bit, but I think overall, LinkedIn is really about playing the long game and planting those seeds and forming the relationships that will end up paying off down the line. And you kind of just have to nurture those and water those to see them fully bloom. Let's take a look at my top performing post and deconstruct what worked about it and look at some of the analytics. So here's the image that I included with this post. It is a poster that Ilana and I worked on for a talk that we gave. It just says, make nice things with good people in our hand lettering style, and has some nice cute floral elements throughout. It's very approachable and really focused on the actual image of the art. With how LinkedIn posts work, there's a small area for some initial text that you can write where you can put your hook, a couple of sentences, and then it cuts it off. So people will have to click to expand the post to see the rest of it. So you want to really utilize that space and make it something that people really want to learn more about. So my particular hook was just, but can your font do this? ... question mark. Questions are really great for a hook because people want to then see what the answer is. Whereas if you kind of give away the whole thesis of your post too early on, people are probably going to just scroll past. And then I gave several listed reasons of why a lettering artist might be better than a typeface for certain situations. At the end, I just included a quick call to action that said, if your brand or project needs something more personal than a font, I'd love to help bring it to life. So send me a message and let's talk. And then I just added a short list of hashtags that, again, ChatGPT generated for me. This posted really well for me, and it was probably the second or third post that I posted in this experiment. So my eyes were just totally opened to the potential of LinkedIn. My impressions for this post was almost 150,000, which was 65% of my total impressions for the entire month. The members that I actually reached was 109,000, and that was 84% of the people that I reached within the entire month, which is nuts. So without this single post, my overall analytics would have been so much lower. So this post was like it. Overall reactions to the post was about 3,500, comments 56, and reposts, interestingly enough, LinkedIn told me my repost for the whole month was 22, but the repost for this particular post was 64. So my theory is that some of these reposts were reposts of reposts, if that makes sense. So maybe they didn't count it towards my total analytics because it wasn't reposting my original post. It was reposting somebody's repost of my original post. Wow, that's a mouthful. I knew the post was doing well originally, but like 2 days in, when the reposts really started happening, then I was like, oh, wow, these numbers are really going up. So I think it was the repost that really did it. And that's a really good reminder that on LinkedIn, it's really helpful to create content that people really want to repost. And that's funny because that's exactly what we learned from our experiment over on Instagram, which you can go watch right here. So the more shareable the content is, the more it's about a general lesson learned or some form of education or something that people are getting out of it. It's not just saying, here's my art, it's really pretty, do you like it? It's saying, here's a nugget of information that you can take away or something that makes you reflect on your own life. In short, the more shareable the content, the better. I was also able to look at the demographics for this post, and the people who were engaging with it were 17.5% graphic designer, 6.3% art director or creative director. 46% of those people were entry level and 20% senior level. So that kind of information is really helpful to see, okay, am I reaching a demographic who can actually hire me to create the work that I want to make? And the answer for this post is yes, I am definitely reaching some of the people who are able to hire me now or even in the future. Remember, LinkedIn is all about planting those seeds. So very good sign. Some other examples of ideas that worked really well and some of our top performing posts. I used this old image of my work and I really loved the color palette. So I thought, why not kind of focus in on that for the story of this post. So my hook for this one was small color palettes can have a big impact, but how do you build one? So it was an educational post about how to build a great color palette while showing that, I have a nice handle on color and you should hire me. Ilana posted this image of the two of us with some pieces of work that we created together, and the hook was, just because you can design it, build it, do it, doesn't mean you should. And the whole post was about how we help each other and balance each other out, and she's stronger in some areas of our workflow and I'm stronger in some areas of workflow, so we kind of dole those out depending on where we really shine. So overall, there are some things that we found that make up the anatomy of a successful post on LinkedIn. First, a strong hook. Optimize the text above the fold. Again, I'm talking about that area that LinkedIn shows before you have to click to unfurl the rest of the post. It can be really nice to post a question there, so people have to click to find the answer. Another thing you want to do is provide clear, relatable value. Remember, it's not all about you, the poster. You want to make it about the viewer as well. So an example could be, here are 4 reasons that brands and creative teams hire a lettering artist instead of using a typeface. Lists also work really well on LinkedIn, and they're nice and easy for people to skim as they're reading. So you're educating your audience and selling without feeling and sounding salesy. A low pressure call to action at the end of your post is really, really helpful to tell the viewer what you want them to do, whether it's engaging with the post through comments or sharing the post with their friends, or maybe even sending you a DM or an inquiry to work together. Especially if you're an artist, you're going to want to attach a bold, eye-catching visual. This was so important for us. You can add 1 photo or multiple photos. We found it didn't really seem to matter too much. And finally, it's really helpful to have a tone that feels personal and authentic and not corporate. There's so much corporate-y, bro-y crap on LinkedIn, and it really stands out when you can feel someone's authentic and honest and just talking like a human. I think people really responded in the comments to my tone of voice and that I was coming from a real place. And that's a lesson that we keep learning, is just the more authentic you can be when you show up anywhere at all, whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram, in person, on Pinterest, the more that people are going to resonate with you and learn to love you. That about wraps it up for me. I'm going to send you back over to Ilana.
So we have a lot of feelings about this. I thought it was really, really helpful to do this. Obviously, seeing the data is what's so important. So if you ever do a challenge like this, make sure you go back and actually revisit, did this work? Don't just go by one stat of did I gain enough followers? Don't expect virality. Go back and really digest the information you get from those analytics and see if it makes sense for you. And of course, for us, we've decided that a slower pace makes way more sense, and we're giving ourselves permission to not show up every day. That was fine. It wasn't exhausting, but we have other priorities. And so now that we have this information, we're going to show up as we see fit. LinkedIn feels like it's a long game. It doesn't feel like it's going to be ripped out from under us any minute. It doesn't feel like something we're going to lose, or if we don't post every day, we're going to get punished. It felt like planting little seeds, which felt really nice. And it just feels really important. Network has always felt important. The people you know and the people you connect with just has always felt like it's a really important piece of the puzzle. And I think tools like LinkedIn give us an opportunity to connect with people we didn't think we'd have an opportunity to connect with. I know for me, I have people in my network who work at these amazing companies, and I wouldn't know that if I hadn't just sent a connection or looked for them, or you never know what connection someone else has. We're all connected, the whole universe. So we're definitely going to be integrating this into our workflow. We thought this was really, really helpful. Let us know if you give LinkedIn a try. Send us a friend request, give us a follow, and then leave a comment letting us know what you learned from your own experiment.